He offered a homeless girl a shower and new clothes out of pity, expecting nothing in return. But when she walked out transformed, he couldn't recognize the woman who would change his life forever and cost him everything he thought he wanted. Alexander Kane was everything you'd expect from a tech billionaire at 34. Standing 6'2" with perfectly styled black hair, sharp green eyes, and a jawline that could cut glass, he commanded every room he entered. His three-piece suits were custom-tailored. His watches cost more than most people's cars, and his penthouse overlooked the Seattle skyline like a modern castle. Alex had built Kane Tech from nothing into a $40 billion empire, but success had made him cold, calculating, and utterly convinced that everything and everyone had a price. On the corner of 5th and Pine, huddled against the November rain, sat Maya Chun. At 26, she was invisible to the thousands of people who passed her daily. Her long black hair was matted and dirty. Her clothes were layered rags held together by hope and safety pins, and her face was hidden behind weeks of grime and exhaustion. She held a cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps. God bless." But beneath the layers of street life was a woman with intelligent brown eyes that held depths of pain and resilience that most people would never understand. Maya had been on the streets for 8 months, ever since her mother's medical bills had consumed their savings and the bank had foreclosed on their small house. She was a former software engineer with a computer science degree from Stanford, but in her current state, she might as well have been invisible to the tech world that once welcomed her. It was raining harder than usual that Tuesday evening when Alex's Bentley got stuck in traffic right in front of Maya's corner. He glanced out the window and saw her there, soaked and shivering, and felt an unusual pang of something. Not quite guilt, but an uncomfortable awareness of the contrast between his heated leather seats and her cardboard shelter. "Pull over, James," Alex told his driver on impulse. Alex stepped out of the car, his $1,000 shoes splashing in puddles as he approached Maya. She looked up at him with wary eyes, clearly recognizing the expensive suit and predatory confidence of someone who had never wanted for anything. "Listen," Alex said, his voice carrying the authoritative tone he used in boardrooms. "There's a hotel across the street. I'll get you a room for the night. Let you clean yourself up, get some decent clothes. Consider it charity." Maya studied his face, searching for the catch. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," Alex replied, though even as he said it, he knew it wasn't entirely true. He wanted the satisfaction of being magnanimous, the feeling of being the kind of person who helped the less fortunate. It was an ego boost disguised as kindness. Maya hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay." Alex arranged everything with the efficiency of a man accustomed to making things happen with a phone call and a credit card. He got Maya a suite at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, called in a personal shopper, and arranged for room service. He handed her a business card before leaving. "If you need anything else, call that number," he said. "And Maya, don't make me regret this." The way he said her name, like he was granting her permission to exist, should have been her first red flag. Maya spent that night in luxury she hadn't experienced even before homelessness. The hot shower lasted an hour as she scrubbed away months of street life. The personal shopper had left behind clothes that actually fit, an elegant black dress, tailored jeans, cashmere sweaters, and shoes that didn't have holes in them. For the first time in months, Maya looked in a full-length mirror and recognized herself. But Alex's gesture wasn't purely altruistic. He'd been feeling pressure from his board about his public image. Too cold, too disconnected from the community. His PR team had been pushing him to do more charity work, and helping Maya felt like the perfect story to leak to the press. A billionaire's spontaneous act of kindness, transforming a homeless woman's life. It was exactly the kind of narrative that would rehabilitate his reputation. Over the next few days, Alex found himself thinking about Maya more than he expected. He told himself it was just curiosity about whether his investment had paid off. But there was something else, a nagging sense that he'd seen something in her eyes that intrigued him. When Maya called 3 days later, Alex almost didn't recognize her voice. Gone was a hesitant whisper of the streets, replaced by a clear, confident tone that sounded educated. "I wanted to thank you properly," Maya said. "Could I take you to coffee?" Alex was intrigued. He agreed to meet her at a small cafe near his office, expecting to see a cleaned-up version of the homeless woman he'd helped. What he didn't expect was a breathtaking transformation that walked through the cafe door. Maya looked like she'd stepped off the cover of a magazine. Her long black hair fell in glossy waves around her shoulders. Her skin glowed with health, and the simple black dress she wore made her look elegant and sophisticated. But it was her eyes that stopped Alex cold. They held an intelligence and depth that he completely missed during their first encounter. "Maya?" he asked, uncertain. She smiled, expression that transformed her entire face. Surprised? Alex was more than surprised. He was captivated. This wasn't the broken woman he'd pitied. This was someone who commanded attention, who belonged to his world of power and success. For the first time in years, Alex found himself genuinely interested in getting to know someone. "You look incredible," he said and meant it. "Funny how a shower and clean clothes can change everything," Maya replied, but there was an edge to her voice that Alex missed. They talked for hours. Maya was intelligent, funny, and surprisingly knowledgeable about technology and business. Alex found himself more engaged than he'd been in any conversation in years. By the end of the evening, he was completely smitten with this mysterious woman who'd appeared in his life. "I'd like to see you again," Alex said as they parted ways. "I'd like that too," Maya replied. Over the next month, Alex pursued Maya with the single-minded determination that had made him a billionaire. He took her to the finest restaurants, flew her to weekend getaways in Napa Valley, showered her with gifts and attention. Maya seemed to enjoy his company, but Alex noticed she never talked about her past, always steering conversations toward current events, technology, or philosophy. Alex was falling hard, but he was also calculating. Maya would be perfect for his image, beautiful, intelligent, and with a compelling backstory of transformation that would make great PR. He began introducing her to his social circle, taking her to charity galas and business functions. She fit in perfectly, charming investors and socialites with equal ease. But Maya had her own agenda. She watched Alex carefully, noting how he treated service workers, how he talked about his charity case when he thought she wasn't listening, how he seemed to view her transformation as his personal achievement. She saw through his carefully constructed persona to the man underneath, someone who saw other people as chess pieces in his own game. The breaking point came at a tech industry gala where Alex was being honored for his charitable work. He'd arranged for Maya to be his date, planning to use the evening to announce their relationship publicly. As he gave his acceptance speech, he began telling the story of how he'd saved a homeless woman, transforming her life through his generosity. "Sometimes," Alex told the audience, "all it takes is one person willing to see potential where others see problems. I'm proud to say that my small act of kindness has blossomed into something beautiful." He gestured toward Maya in the audience, and she felt her heart break. He was taking credit for her transformation, reducing her to a charity project that reflected his goodness. After the gala, Maya confronted Alex in his penthouse. "Did you enjoy your speech tonight?" she asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "I thought it went well," Alex replied, oblivious to the storm brewing. "The story about us is exactly the kind of thing that—" "The story about us?" Maya interrupted. "Or the story about how the great Alexander Kane saved the poor homeless girl?" Alex paused, sensing danger but not understanding its source. "Maya, I don't understand why you're upset. I was celebrating what we've accomplished together." "What we've accomplished?" Maya's voice rose. "Alex, do you have any idea who I was before you found me on that corner?" "You were homeless," Alex said slowly. "You were struggling, and I helped you get back on your feet." Maya laughed, a bitter sound that filled the penthouse. "I was a senior software engineer at Microsoft before my mother got cancer. I spent 2 years taking care of her, using all my savings for her treatment. When she died, I lost everything, my job, my house, my entire life. I wasn't some broken person who needed saving, Alex. I was someone who got knocked down by circumstances beyond my control." Alex stared at her, processing this information. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to see who you really were," Maya said. "I wanted to know if you were the kind of man who would care about me for who I am, or if you just liked the idea of being my savior." "Maya, that's not fair." You introduced me as your charity project tonight, Alex. You told a room full of people that you transformed me, that I'm beautiful now because of your kindness." You never once asked about my dreams, my goals, my plans for the future. You just assumed I'd be grateful enough to be your perfect accessory. The truth hit Alex like a physical blow. He realized that he'd never really seen Maya as a complete person. She'd been a project, a story, a way to improve his image and feel good about himself. "I was going to offer you a job at Kane Tech," he said weakly. "A job?" Maya's eyes flashed. "Alex, I've already been offered 3 positions at companies that actually recognize my qualifications. Google wants me to lead their new AI ethics division. I don't need you to give me a job. I need you to see me as an equal." "Maya, I do see you." "No, you don't. You see a success story that makes you look good. You see a beautiful woman who makes other men jealous. But you've never seen me." Maya walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. "I fell in love with you despite myself. Alex, I kept hoping you'd surprise me, that you'd show me the man I glimpse in quiet moments between all the show and pretense. But tonight proved that you're exactly who I thought you were." Alex felt panic rising in his chest. "Maya, please. I can change. I can be better." She turned to face him, and he saw tears in her eyes. "The tragedy isn't that you can't change, Alex. It's that you don't even understand what needs changing." Maya gathered her purse and headed toward the door. "Thank you for the shower and the clothes. But I was never your charity case, and I was never your redemption story. I was just a woman who needed a hand up, not a handout, and definitely not a master." "Maya, wait." But she was already gone, leaving Alex alone in his penthouse with the devastating realization that he'd had something real and had destroyed it with his own arrogance. 6 months later, Alex saw Maya's face on the cover of Forbes magazine. The headline read, "The Phoenix Rises, How Maya Can Build a Tech Empire from Rock Bottom." She'd started her own company, developing AI software for social services, and had just secured $50 million in funding. Alex tried calling her, tried reaching out through mutual contacts, but Maya had moved on. She was dating a fellow entrepreneur who saw her as a partner, not a project. In interviews, she spoke about overcoming adversity and the importance of genuine human connection, but she never mentioned Alex. At a tech conference a year later, Alex found himself in the same room as Maya for the first time since that night in his penthouse. She looked radiant, confident, successful, everything he thought his help had made her, but now he understood she'd always been these things. He approached her during a break, hoping for a chance to explain, to apologize, to somehow undo the damage he'd done. "Hello, Alex," Maya said politely, as if greeting a distant acquaintance. "Maya, I've been thinking about what you said, about what I did wrong. I want to make amends." She studied his face with those intelligent brown eyes that had first captivated him. "Alex, you didn't do anything wrong by helping me that night. Your mistake was thinking that kindness gave you ownership over my story. I know that now. I've learned. I'm glad you've learned. But I'm not a lesson, Alex. I'm not a chance for you to prove you've grown. I'm just a person living my life, and that life doesn't include you." As Maya walked away, Alex finally understood the full weight of what he'd lost. He hadn't just lost a girlfriend or a potential wife. He'd lost a chance to know an extraordinary woman who might have changed him for the better, if only he'd been wise enough to let her. Sometimes the greatest tragedy isn't falling down. It's having someone offer to help you up, only to discover they want to own your recovery. True kindness asks for nothing in return, especially not gratitude that becomes a cage. And sometimes the most beautiful transformation isn't changing someone else. It's allowing them to show you who they've always been. If you like that story, subscribe for more. Thank you, and until next time.